If you have a relaxing aquarium in your room that bends light just the right way while flaunting all your beautiful fish swimming around, then you don't need any other decor in your home. Most of us view aquariums as decor only, and that's not right. These glass boxes full of water are home to wonderful, intelligent creatures. Sure, they might not be able to talk to us, but that doesn't mean they don't bond with their owners. That's why picking out fish breeds that you know will be happier in the aquarium is crucial. If you know they're having a good time, enjoying their aesthetic appeal will be much easier. So here are 10 fish breeds that you can get for your aquarium. Number 10. Coolie Loach. Right off the bat, these fish look more like snakes or eels actually, and that's exactly their appeal. Everyone can raise a few goldfish and guppies, but the weirder the fish looks, the better, well, according to us. These eel-like fish are called coolie loaches and are super beginner friendly. They also come in a range of colors. Some are black, some pinkish yellow, and some silver. These are some hardy fish, which means they don't produce a lot of waste and can survive just fine in a 20-gallon aquarium tank. But you do have to get at least a group of 3 to 6, since they like to group together. They're the perfect fish for anyone who gets a little lonely at night. Since coolie loaches are nocturnal, they can swim around in their tank while you sit beside them and enjoy their sweet company. Number 9. Seahorse. Seahorses are unarguably some of the most fascinating sea creatures you can come across. And the best part is that you can keep captive-bred seahorses as pets. Wild-caught seahorses won't be able to adjust to their new life, so it's better to let them be. Once you've sourced your seahorse, get a nice, tall, 30-gallon aquarium for them. They tend to swim upwards to give them lots of vertical space. You can get a seahorse-specific one or a regular one, since most seahorses are compatible with other calm fish. They make great friends with snails, hermit crabs, starfish, shrimp, pipefish, and cardinal fish. Whatever tank mates you choose, just make sure they won't get too territorial between themselves. The more majestic a creature is, the more majestic it's going to act. That's why seahorses thrive on a diet of high-quality, frozen mysis shrimp. And they're very slow feeders, so you need a proper feeding routine to make sure they eat. Number 8. Guppies. If you're looking for a more classic aquarium fish, then guppies are a great start. Humans have been quite obsessed with guppies for a long time, since the 1860s, to be exact. That's why these fish are everywhere and sometimes cost as little as $3. They only grow up to 2 inches long, so even a 5 to 10-gallon aquarium will suffice for these guys. These fish procreate very fast, so if you want to get into breeding, be our guest. Other than fish mates, they'll need tons of live aquarium plants and a sponge filter so their baby guppies don't get sucked up. Guppies are gentle creatures, and a tank full of them is a marvelous sight. But they go along well with cory catfish and neon tetras. Just keep aggressive fish away from them, or they'll nip at their bright fins. Number 7. Discus. Fish are known for their narrow and aerodynamic shape. But let's switch things, shall we? Take a look at the discus fish. They're literally just fish that look like small, flat, colorful discs. But they're a bit too finicky to keep. First, you need to maintain a temperature of 85 to 86 Fahrenheit for them, since that's what most discus farms keep their water at. Make sure to ask your breeder what temperature they previously prefer. When their temperature rises, so does their metabolism, which means they're going to be munching a lot more and pooping a lot more too. That's why a 75-gallon tank or larger is best. If you reduce the tank size to even 55 gallons, you'll have to change their water a lot. Also, these fish can grow up to 5 to 7 inches in diameter. You can just keep one discus fish, but they're always happier singing their own kind. To avoid any territorial fights, get about 10 to 12 baby discus at the same time so they can grow up and learn to live together in peace. Number 6. Bosamani rainbow fish. Did you ever read The Rainbow Fish as a kid? Well, you can now get a bunch of rainbow fish for your room. Introducing the Bosamani rainbow fish that flaunts an iridescent blue front and a bright orange back. If you see these fish at a pet store, they'll probably be dull and washed out. That's because they need up to a year of proper care and top quality food to bring color to their fins. But it's definitely worth it. These fish like to school together, and that too at the top half of the tank. So keep a tight lid on them, or you might get to witness a Nemo escape scene in real life. Since only the boy fish are colorful, they get a bunch of female fish. So the boys have to flaunt their best colors to impress them. Luckily, these fish are not picky eaters and will munch on anything that fits in their mouths. Still, you should aim for a diet that includes dry, frozen and live foods to keep them healthy. Remember, their mouths are super tiny, so give them foods like krill flakes, frozen bloodworms and brine shrimp. Number 5. Mandarin goby. Beauty comes at a price, and that goes for the mandarin goby too. These wonderfully patterned fish are common in the wild, but not so much in local pet stores. You'll have to buy them online or from a niche pet provider. The wild-caught breed will only eat live foods, but captive bred will readily eat pellets and frozen foods. These fish aren't found in China. Instead, they get their name due to their resemblance to the brightly colored imperial Chinese robes. To make matters more interesting, they don't even have scales. Instead, they make use of light-bending cells to give them that color. They're covered with a thick mucus coating that is, quite frankly, horrible to the nose. Since they originate from large coral reefs, they like to hide in crevices and cracks. So keep that in mind when you get them a tank, which does not have to be too big. Mandarin gobies are considered a nano species, so a 10 to 30 gallon reef aquarium would work for them. Food is where things get tricky. These tiny critters have incredibly small mouths, so they only eat one main thing: cope pods. Some gobies are so picky that they'll only eat live cope pods and refuse every other dish on the menu. The best way to feed them is to have a mature reef tank with a more than healthy cope pod population so that they can reproduce faster than they're eaten. If you can't manage all that, there is another option. Set up a separate cope pod culture tank. This way, you'll have a steady supply of their favorite food. Luckily, a cope pod setup is quite simple. All in all, it's safe to say that these fish are not for the faint heart. But if you're experienced and up for a challenge, go ahead. Number 3. Bangai cardinal fish. If Tim Burton created a fish, it would probably look like the Bangai cardinal fish, with its long thin fins and spooky stripes. They only grow up to 3 inches but need about 30 gallons of water to swim around in. Since they originate from the coral reefs, it's recommended to replace that sort of environment for them, especially because these fish are very shy at first and like to hide away a lot in the beginning. Once they get comfortable, they'll spend more time out in the open and with other friendly fish too. The only time bangais get aggressive is during mating, breeding, or when their eggs might be in danger. As for food, these fish are carnivores and prefer meaty foods like krills, prawns, copepods, brine shrimp, and mysis shrimp. They might look intimidating, but their personality is nothing like that. They school together with their own kind and sometimes different breeds of the same species, meaning they make great friends with other cardinals. Number 2. Emperor angelfish. The emperor angelfish is a trippy fish to look at, especially if you're a beginner. Although you might be tempted to use these marine tropical fish for your aquarium just now, only hobbyists who have perfected the saltwater tank setup should care for these. In the wild, these fish enjoy a large territory, and that's exactly what they want in captivity too. This means a 175-gallon aquarium is the smallest you can go. And since they're semi-aggressive fish, you can't keep any invertebrate species around them. In fact, experts recommend that you only keep one adult emperor angelfish in one tank. When it comes to feeding, they should only be fed marine omnivore pellets along with dried seaweed, dried algae-based food, and a bunch of other frozen foods. The more varied the diet, the better. They already sound like a lot of work, but what makes them truly worth it is their color transition from juvenile to adulthood. As babies, these fish have a stunning yellow and blue striped appearance, and as they grow older, these stripes start to curve into an eclectic blue, white and black. Their color markings are so different that the juveniles were considered a whole other species until the 1930s. Number 1. Neon tetra. Fish are already ridiculously colorful, but the neon tetras really take the fish cake. Even though the adults are barely 1.5 inches long, their colors attract enough attention. These hardy fish can live up to 8 years with their own kind. Neon tetras are very active fish and love to dart around in the daytime. If your tetra tries to hide a lot, then you know something is wrong. But that doesn't mean you just don't give them any vegetation. In the wild, they enjoy floating plants, roots, and secluded hideaways, so try and recreate that with Java and hornwort moss. Even though they're active, that doesn't mean they're aggressive, so they go along well with barbs, cory catfish, and even other tetra species. A medium-sized 20-gallon tank is enough for them. They're simple fish. They eat insect larvae, algae, and some plant matter and just dart about. The perfect life. All these fish are super funky to look at, but they are living creatures with long lifespans, so you need to read up on them before making a big purchase. If you want more short-term pets that will help you prepare for some real responsibility, check out our previous video on the pets that don't live long but pack a lot of fun.